Today's story is a strange one, veering closer to legend than reality. The event spanned from earth to the heavens and everything in between. Angels, powerful sorcery, a woman of unearthly beauty, as if from another world. Who are they? Are these two truly angels? And if so, why did they descend to earth? What's their connection to the prophet Solomon? And where is the deal with the great well of Babel? They say angels are beings of light, free from desire and immune to sin and error. So how did this mortal woman manage to tempt them with her beauty? What became of them? Did they return to the heavens, or are they still living among us to this day? Harut and Marut, Shamhazai and Azazel, or Sonda and Sonda. In this video, we will explore all the tales and stories mentioned by scholars, researchers, and specialists. Together, we will try to gather everything found in ancient texts, beliefs, and religions, both divine and otherwise, that contain hints about this very same story. Let's get to know these two angels who were created from light, lived in the heavens, and then descended to earth to live among the people. The angels who were the first to teach humanity the secrets of magic. Don't forget to grab your favorite drink and let's jump into it. According to historians, the first appearance of magic was in ancient Babylon, where it was always associated with the forces of evil and the devil, who has long tried to lure people into learning the dark arts of black magic. The goal, of course, is to get people to seek his help, worship him, and turn away from God. It's said that Satan or Lucifer was the first teacher of magic, empowering certain sorcerers to control the kings and commoners through those supernatural abilities. What about Harut and Marut themselves? The historical accounts mention Harut and Marut, the angels said to have taught the people of Babylon the ways of sorcery. The stories around their tale differ, leaving the viewer to choose the version they find closest to the truth. And so, here comes the first account of Harut and Marut. And let's start with the Jewish narrative as it appears in the Talmud. The story begins when the angels in heaven witnessed the extent of corruption and sin that humans were committing on earth. They wondered how humans could be so weak and how they could so easily succumb to desires and sins. Harut and Marut, or Shamhazai and Azazel, asked God for permission to descend to earth and live among the people in order to spread justice and sanctify God's name. God granted their request but warned them that the earthly desires would overtake them. Yet they insisted on descending. The two angels came down to earth and began trying to reform and guide people towards the straight path, glorifying and sanctifying God's name. At first, the angelic duo were strong and able to resist temptations until Ishtar appeared. They say she was a woman of unparalleled beauty, almost otherworldly in her allure. She began to seduce the angels. Despite God's warnings, the angels fell under the spell of lust. They asked her to engage in a forbidden relationship, but she refused unless they revealed to her the greatest name of God to ascend to the heavens. They refused, so she demanded that they worship idols instead, which they also refused to do. She then proposed that they kill someone, but they refused to take an innocent life without cause. So she told them to drink wine instead. They looked at each other, thinking that was the lesser of the two evils. So they drank the wine, and while drunk, they worshipped the idols and had sex with her. One of the children witnessed them, and out of fear of being exposed, they killed him. In their drunken state, they revealed to her the greatest name of God. Once she had that, she uttered it and flew up to the heavens. But God punished her for tempting the angels. She forgot the name and never returned to earth. In another version it said she didn't actually give herself to the angels, and as a reward for preserving herself, God transformed her into a celestial body, believed to be the planet Venus. Don't be surprised, guys, the weirdness has only just begun. So, what happened to the two angels then? They say that when the angels sobered up and realized the magnitude of their sin, they tried to fly back up to the heavens but couldn't. So they begged God for forgiveness. After the angels disobeyed God and fell into temptation, He gave them a choice: the punishment of this world or the punishment of the hereafter. They opted for the worldly punishment, so they wouldn't be condemned to the fires of hell forever. The story goes that they were sentenced to imprisonment on earth, in a cave or well beneath the city of Babylon. Their feet were bound, heads down and feet up in that deep well. There was a great smoke there that choked their breath, and water below that they couldn't even drink. And here is the kicker. The tale says that Harut and Marut are still hanging there, suspended as a punishment for their sins, and they'll remain that way until the day of judgment. Now this version is the most popular and widespread, but despite its fame, it is completely rejected by the Islamic faith, and I'll tell you why. The story began in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, when the Jews would lie about him and doubt his prophethood. Yet, they would still ask him about God, religions, and previous nations. The Prophet Muhammad would answer all their questions. One day, they came to him after hearing that the Quran had mentioned the Prophet Solomon. They were amazed that Solomon was described as a prophet, since they had long claimed he was a sorcerer, not a prophet. Claiming his kingdom and power came from controlling jinns and devils. That's when the blessed verse was revealed, clearing the Prophet Solomon of sorcery and disbelief and mentioning the angels Harut and Marut. The verse went like this: and they followed what the devils had recited during the reign of Solomon. It was not Solomon who disbelieved, but the devils disbelieved, teaching people magic and that which was revealed to the two angels at Babylon, Harut and Marut. But the two angels do not teach anyone unless they say, "We are a trial, so do not disbelieve." And yet, they learned from them that by which they cause separation between a man and his wife. But they do not harm anyone through it except by permission of Allah. And the people learn what harms them and doesn't benefit them. But the children of Israel certainly knew that whoever purchased the magic would not have in the hereafter any share. And wretched is that for which they sold themselves, if they only knew. Now the important question is, why did the Jews claim that Solomon was a sorcerer? Let's take a step back to understand the connection between the Prophet Solomon, magic, and the devils, and why the angels Harut and Marut were sent down after his death. Listen up, guys. During the time of the Prophet Solomon, peace be upon him, he spread justice on earth, sanctified God's name, and fought against sorcery and the devils. God granted Solomon a kingdom like no one before or after him. He had the power to control both humans and jinns, command the weather, and understand the language of animals. No one on earth could disobey his orders, especially the jinns, who feared his ability to punish and hold them accountable. Remember this point well. But after Solomon lost his kingdom due to a severe illness, the devils began ascending to the heavens to spy on the angels. They would overhear some of the future news that the angel Gabriel was conveying to the angels, and then rush to relay that information to the soothsayers. The soothsayers then started claiming to have knowledge of the unseen, based on what the devils had told them. After that, the devils started writing sorcery and teaching it to the people in the absence of the Prophet Solomon. They even claimed that this magic was part of the Prophet Solomon's knowledge. But after God had healed Solomon and restored his kingdom, he went on to the warpath against those devils. He rounded up all the books they had written on sorcery and buried them in a chest under his throne, making sure no one, human or jinn, could get their hands on it. It said that anyone who tried to touch that chest would get burned and killed. However, after Solomon's death, the people wondered what had happened to those books. The devil saw his chance and seized it, taking on a human form and claiming that Solomon was not a prophet, but a sorcerer who had built his kingdom through the use of magic and the subjugation of jinns. The devil even pointed to the buried chest under Solomon's throne as evidence. Despite the Israelites initially rejecting this idea, over time they caved to the devil's pressure and dug under Solomon's throne, unearthing the chest containing the books of sorcery. And sure enough, they found all sorts of spells, incantations, and occult knowledge. As a result, they became convinced that Solomon was a sorcerer, not a prophet. After that, magic started spreading like wildfire among the people, and and more charlatans started popping up, claiming to be prophets, and their work was God-given miracles. That's when the angels Harut and Marut were sent down to clear the prophet Solomon's name and teach the people to distinguish between sorcery and true prophetic miracles. They made it clear that miracles are nothing like sorcery and can never reach its level. The angels warned everyone against learning magic, saying, "We are but a trial, so do not disbelieve." They explained that learning and practicing sorcery is outright disbelief in God. But despite the warnings, some people persisted in learning and using magic for nefarious purposes, which wouldn't benefit them in this world or the next. They even learned from Harut and Marut some types of harmful magic, including the dreaded black magic. Turns out, the Jews were among those who bought into magic, abandoning the teachings of the Torah and twisting its words to use sorcery for their own worldly gain. But God set the record straight, clearing his prophet's name and revealing that it was the devils who had cast that sorcery upon King Solomon. As for that Talmudic tale about the angels Harut and Marut falling into sin with the woman Ishtar, that's completely rejected in Islamic doctrine. In the Islamic faith, angels are infallible beings who never disobey God. They always do as they are commanded. So any story that has them succumbing to sin goes against this fundamental principle, which is why the Muslim scholars have unanimously rejected the Talmudic version. And after exploring the Islamic perspective, it's now time to delve into the Hindu narrative. There is a similar story to that of Harut and Marut. The tale goes that there were these two mighty angels, Sunda and Abasunda, who possessed immense powers. In fact, the gods themselves were downright scared of the dew's growing influence and feared they might try to seize control. When the danger posed by the kings grew to the point that they threatened the balance of the universe, the god Brahma, fearing their strength and expanding dominance, created a supremely beautiful Aspra, celestial nymph named Tilaroma. The purpose of creating this Apsara was to tempt the brothers and incite conflict between them. Her captivating beauty led the brothers to compete for her, resulting in a fight between them that ended in their deaths. And now, what about the Christian perspective? There is no direct parallel to the story of Harut and Marut in Christianity, but there is the whole concept of the fallen angels who rebelled against God and were cast out from heaven. In this context, you could say these tales have a bit of resemblance, since the angels went rogue and fell into sin. But there is no direct story about angels teaching magic or testing humans like in the Islamic version. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the more secular interpretations I've come across in my research. To start off, it's important to note that the information provided here is a result of extensive research and review of various historical sources, along with the perspective of historians, religious scholars, and researchers of ancient civilizations. Absolute truth is known only to God, and while there is no concrete proof, ancient tales and legends suggest that magic and supernatural phenomena have always been closely linked to the civilization of Babylon. I have no doubt that the devil was the first to turn, and that the greatest sorcerers of the human history were the angels Harut and Marut, who are considered the founding fathers of the occult sciences. The tale goes back after the great flood of Prophet Noah, specifically to the city of Babylon in Iraq. Babylon was the first organized civilization on earth, where scholars were highly revered and kings were placed on a pedestal like gods. As knowledge and sciences like astronomy and engineering flourished, so did the troubles. The devil seized his opportunity to corrupt the scholars using his supernatural abilities. He could shape-shift into terrifying forms, move with lightning speed, and most importantly, worm his way into people's minds, whispering sweet nothings that gave him immense influence over the masses. According to various interpreters, Harut and Marut appeared in Babylon. They were said to be of angelic descent and had descended to earth on a mission to teach people beneficial white magic to counter the devil. These miraculous feats emerged in Babylon were part of this white magic, including the constructions of the pyramids and the Tower of Babel, as well as the ability of instant travel, which may have been remnants of the occult sciences taught by Harut and Marut. The magic the angels taught the people had a profound impact, and they were constantly warning the masses against falling into temptation. But over time, greed and arrogance crept into the hearts of humans. They started striving for more power and control, leading many of them to dabble in the dark side of magic. On top of teaching white magic, Harut and Marut were also credited with instructing the people in the sciences of tarot, astrology, and divination. Some believe that Harut and Marut still make occasional appearances to secretly teach magic, and that they were even assistants to Prophet Solomon in controlling the jinns. There is historical evidence to back this up, but it's not exactly common knowledge. The second narrative, though, is that a fierce conflict and disagreement arose between the two brothers because one of them got a bit too greedy and power hungry. Apparently, it had something to do with a captivating human princess, and the brothers ended up battling each other, leading to the emergence of two factions: the practitioners of the white magic versus the black magic users. This version is considered plausible by many, as they believe discord made its way in between the two, and one of them had strayed from the path of God, becoming a sort of demonic sorcerer gathering followers, while the other brother, the good one, tried to combat him and ward off the evil through the use of white magic. The supporters of this version continue to cling to a strange theory that one of the brothers, the corrupt or evil one, is none other than the Antichrist himself, and that he is the ringleader of Freemasonry worldwide, just waiting for the right time to break out of his imprisonment, while the good brother works to help humanity and fight against him, delaying his emergence. The third narrative delves into the persona of the greatest sorcerer, Hazard. It said this title wasn't just limited to fiction and movies, but was actually claimed by various individuals throughout history, such as the magician David Copperfield and before him Houdini, both of whom met mysterious ends. Rumors swirled that they had made pacts with the devil to gain fame and power, and that they had learned their magic from a terrifying sorcerer. I dived deep and discovered that the first person to receive the title Greatest Sorcerer was actually from Babylon civilization. A mind-blowing revelation, considering that Babylon was known as the homeland for magical relics and the advancement of astronomical sciences. Among these remnants, the name of the original greatest sorcerer in Babylon, Hazard, was mentioned in numerous historical sources. Many books and websites have covered the story of Hazard, and the name seems to ring a bell for a lot of folks. There is believed to be a similarity between Hazard's name and Harut, one of the angels mentioned in the Quran as teachers of magic. Some even go so far as to believe that Hazard is none other than Harut himself, the greatest sorcerer to have ever walked the earth. Hazard appeared on the scene several centuries after the reign of Nimrod, during a period when science was on the decline, and magic and charlatanism were running rampant. Hazard was referred to as an imposing figure, excelling in the occult sciences that he had learned from the Sumerian city of Uruk, where he had mastered the dark arts. He had a large following of disciples who helped spread his teachings. Some claim that Hazard was the first to uncover the secrets of magus or black magic, and that he captivated the hearts of people to the point where they would prostrate themselves before him in the streets. But Hazard was never one to rest on his laurels, constantly sought more power, eventually inventing the magic of Manzazu, which refers to the summoning and control of spirits, or what is known today as necromancy. It's said that Hazard managed to summon the Korean of Ishtar, the Babylonian goddess. He earned the title of the greatest sorcerer thanks to his mystery of ancient magic secrets and his invention of new forms of sorcery. He was even rumored to be the successor of the devil, ordering people to blaspheme and worship the sun and planets, summoning the spirits of the dead to learn their secrets. He held sorcerers and scholars in high regard, to the point where he'd make them grovel at his feet, just so they could document his life story. Just like his life was shrouded in mystery, so was his end. He vanished without a trace, opening the door for all sorts of speculation about his fate. Some believe he was ascended to the heavens, while others claim he descended into hell. There are even those who think his pact with the devil came to an end, and that he offered up his soul in return. At the end of the day, Hazard is considered the greatest and the most powerful sorcerer in the human history, and the source of inspiration for many writers, novelists delving into the world of magic. All the theories mentioned are out there, but no one can say for certain which one, if any, is the real deal. The story story of Harut and Marut remains a mystery that people are still trying to crack to this day. Whether we'll ever solve it, only God knows. And now, my friend, what is your take on all this? Which of these narratives do you think is closest to the truth? Drop your thoughts in comments down below, because I'm still digging into this topic and I'm hoping I can get to the bottom of the real story someday. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you in the next video.